Good morning, class. Welcome to this session of International Business Environment. In our previous session, we were discussing regarding globalization. In our today's class, we shall see how globalization and Indian business are connected. Speaking about this, maybe globalization, liberalization, and privatization. Now, these were the cornerstones of India's new economic policy in 1991. Now, this particular year marks the beginning of a new era in the Indian economy. Now, the new objective to be pursued by the policymakers, the strategists, and executives was to make India the largest free market economy of the 21st century. Now, to achieve this objective, the Indian economy had to be integrated with the world economy through a program, the program of structural adjustment and also stabilization. Now, speaking about this stabilization, the stabilization program included maybe things like inflation control, fiscal adjustment, and also balance of payment adjustment. The structural reforms included trade and capital flows reforms, industrial deregulation, disinvestment, and public enterprise reforms, and financial sector reforms. Now, this program of economic reforms has not been entirely successful, and as a result, the globalization process of Indian economy has not gathered a great momentum. Now, Indian business continues to face a number of difficulties and obstacles in their effort to globalize their business. Now, some of the obstacles can be first one is government policy and procedures. Now, government policy and procedures in India are extremely complex and also they are confusing. Now, swift and efficient action is always a prerequisite for globalization, which is definitely missing in Indian business scenario. The procedures and practice continues to be bureaucratic and hence a speed breaker in the globalization efforts can be seen. The next one is high cost of inputs and infrastructure facility. Now, the cost of raw materials, intermediate goods, power, finance, infrastructure facility, and other basic necessities in India is high, which reduces the global competitiveness of Indian business. Now, the quality and adequacy of infrastructure facility in India is far from what we can call it as satisfactory when we compare it with other developing, other high developing or developed countries. Further, the technology that is being employed by Indian industry and the style of operation is generally outdated. But now the things are changing, and hopefully, this will lead to a very good Indian business market in the globe. Next one is a resistance to change. Now, uh, From the year 1951 to 1991, it can be regarded as the pre-reform era. Now, during this reform era, the economy of India breeded lethargy and created rigid structures, systems, practices, and procedures. Generally, it resulted in laid back attitude of this business. Now, these factors are always a hindrance to the process of what we call as maybe modernization, rationalization, and efficiency improvement. Now, technological change in generally perceived to be employment reducing and hence resisted to the extent possible. Now, for instance, information technology was introduced in India in the early 80s. However, computerization process of national banks began only in the mid 90s. Now, excess labor is particularly employed in the public sector in areas such as banking, insurance, and the railways, and Indian industry in general. As a result, labor productivity is low, and cheap labor in many cases turns out to be helpful. The next one is small size and poor image. Now, grand or the big Indian firms are known to be global pygmies. Now, a look at the Fortune 500 list would reveal it to us. Now, on a global scale, Indian firms are found to be small in size with low availability of resources. Now, Indian firms therefore cannot compete successfully in the international market. Indian products suffer from a poor image in the international market for both reasons, valid and otherwise. Now, Indian firms continues to miss consumer focus both domestically also and in international scenario. Now, the value money equilibrium is missing in Indian products. Further, Indian firms do not have the wherewithal to keep up the delivery schedule and expect large orders and match up to the international specification. The next one is growing competition and poor spend. Now, Indian firms are not only up against competition from developed countries, but also they are into competition with emerging Asian powerhouses or economies such as South Korea and China. Now, continuous improvement in quality and usefulness and competitive cost with competitive pricing can only keep these business organizations afloat in order to remain one and in order to remain in the business one has to spend quite a lot on research and development. It can be in public and private sector outlets. Now, the research in India is undoubtedly and also deliberately low when compared to the developed countries. The next one is non-tariff barriers. Now, member nations of the World Trade Organization are bound to progressively reduce tariff rates across the border over a definite period of time, and thereby the level of playing field is created in the global trade. Now, tariff barriers are therefore is not much concern. What concerns developing nations in particular are non-tariff barriers imposed by the developed countries. Now, issues such as child labor content in some of the products exported by India to the developed nations had cropped up that remain unresolved. Having said this, how globalization and Indian business scenario is going on, and what are the problems that are being found, we shall now discuss the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. Now, for successful globalization, any country it may be, it needs to bring, come up with strategies and policies, and also it has to open the doors for the inflow of foreign direct investment. The foreign direct investment by the multinational corporations especially brings with it flow of foreign exchange, foreign capital, inflow of technology, and also it brings in real capital goods, managerial skills, technical skills, and technological know-how. Now, globalization can easily promote exports of the country by exploiting its export potentials in a right way. Of globalization can also be the engine of growth by facilitating export-led growth strategy, especially in developing countries. And discussing the advantages, globalization can also provide sophisticated job opportunities to the qualified people, and this would result what we call as brain drain in a country. Now, speaking about brain drain, what happens is, under this we tell that when people with potential and skills do not get adequate employment in place where they are, will always flee towards those places where their skills and their efforts are being utilized, and they would get the benefit equally high. And this happens, skillful people would always go out of the country and result in what is called as brain drain. Now, globalization would also provide varieties of products to consumers at a cheaper rate when they are domestically produced rather than when it is imported. Now, this would help in improving the economic welfare of the consumer class. Now, under globalization, the rising inflow of capital would bring foreign exchange into the country. Consequently, the exchange reserve and balance of payments position of the country can also improve. And this also helps in stabilizing the external value of the currency. Now, speaking about advantage, under global finance, what happens is companies can meet their financial requirements easily, and global banking sector would facilitate e-banking and e-business. Now, this would integrate countries' economy globally, and its prosperity would be enhanced. Having spoken about advantages, there are some of the disadvantages or negative impact of globalization also. Now, globalization is never accepted as unmixed blending. Now, critics have pessimistic views about its ill consequences or negative consequences. Now, when a country is opened up and its market economy and financial sectors are well liberalized, its domestic economy may suffer owing to foreign economic invasion. Now, a developing economy hence lacks sufficient maturity. Now, globalization may have adverse effects on the growth of such countries. Now, there are also, you know, views that globalization may kill domestic industry when they fail to improve and compete with foreign, well managed, well established firms. Now, globalization may result into what we call as economic imperialism. Now, unguarded openness may sometimes become a playground for speculators. Now, may also lead to unemployment and poverty and growing economic inequality. Now, having discussed the advantages and disadvantages, it is also important to understand the effects of globalization on Indian economy. And this effects can is both there are positive effects also, there are negative effects of globalization also. Now, speaking about positive effects of globalization, undoubtedly the first one is increase in foreign trade. Now, as a result of foreign trade policies adopted during the early globalization, India's share in world trade has gone up. Now, in India, in 1990 and 1901, India's share in world trade was 0.53%. Now, in 95-96, it increased to 0.60%. In 2009-10, it further increased to 1.78%. Now, these are the result of globalization of Indian foreign trade. And we can definitely see that there has been some increase in India's share in world trade. And also, you know, the share of India's exports in gross domestic product has also been consequently rising. Now, in 1991, it was 6% of GDP, and during 2009-10, it increased to 15.54%. Now, India's share in global merchandise trade stood at 2.0% in 2015. Now, these are the historical data which are being published in textbook. You are always recommended to go and look at the recent rates of maybe GDP and also share in world trade. Now, the share of India's export in India's GDP has also been, constantly raising. In 1991, it was 6% of GDP and it increased to 15.54% in 910. And the gross domestic product rose to an average of 6.9 in 2013-14 and 7.5 in 2015. The next one is increase in foreign investment. Now, as a consequence of globalization, there has been a considerable increase in foreign direct investment as well as foreign portfolio investment. Now, speaking about the first one, foreign direct investment or FDI, it is made by foreign companies with the main intention to establish wholly owned companies in another country and to manage them or to purchase shares of companies in another country for the purpose of managing such wholly managed companies. One of the main characteristics of foreign direct investment is that native companies are managed by the foreign companies or new companies are being set up in India by foreign companies. In this type of investment, it is foreign investors who take risk and is solely responsible for profit or loss of such companies. Next one is portfolio investment. Now, under this type of investment, foreign companies or foreign institutional investors buy either shares or debentures of native companies. However, management and control will remain with the native companies themselves. And we can observe that this is a significant and there is a significant increase in foreign investment in India. To give data facts, in the year 1991, total foreign investment, that is FDI and portfolio investment, was US dollar 103 million. Now, in the year 2007-8, amount of foreign investment increased to 62,106 US dollar million. Now, due to global slowdown, inflow of foreign investment in 2008-9 has reduced to 23,983 million, but again in 2009-10, inflow of foreign investment has increased to 70,139 US dollar million. Now, FDI inflow into India increased to a high rate of 55 billion US dollar in 2015-16 as compared to 45 billion US dollar in 14-15. Now it is not in million but it is in billion that we have to observe. Now, because of significant increase in foreign investment, India began to experience a surplus balance of payments, and a very remarked improvement in foreign exchange. But one thing we should always remember that because of the pandemic, all this data for this particular year would definitely be in a reverse order. If at all you get the information regarding the rates, the inflow of capital, or any other such thing, you are always suggested to go through that and know the facts. The next one is increase in foreign collaboration. Now, globalization has promoted the collaboration of foreign companies with many Indian companies. Now, these collaboration arrangements can be technical collaboration, financial collaboration, or both technical and financial. Now, in financial collaboration, foreign companies provide financial resources, while in technical collaboration, modern foreign technology is provided by foreign companies. Now, foreign companies are setting up many enterprises in India, and collaborations with Indian companies are being much in number. Now, the recent one that we can speak about is of maybe the you know the deal of Facebook and Reliance Jio and some other which are of recent. You will have to give the example. Now, the next one is foreign increase in foreign exchange reserves. Now, as a result of this globalization in Indian economy, foreign exchange reserves has undoubtedly increased, and the increase was substantial in nature. Now, in 91, foreign exchange reserve of India amounted to 4,388 Indian rupees in crores, while in March 2011 it increased to 13 lakh 43,188 Indian crores. When it is converted into US dollars, it becomes 301.84 billion, and there has been an increase of 306 times in foreign exchange reserve of India. The next one is expansion of market. Now, globalization has expanded the size of market. Now, it has permitted Indian business units to expand their business in the whole world. Now, multinational corporations definitely have no boundaries. Now, Indian companies like Infosys, Tata Consultancy, Wipro, Tata Steel, Reliance are definitely doing their business in many of the countries. Next one is technological development. Now, this globalization has enabled the inflow of foreign technology, which is very superior and advanced. Now, Indian business units use this modern technology efficiently and effectively also. And if we observe, the research and development is also taking place, and they are also adopting to new and new technologies which are more efficient in doing business or even in producing product and delivering the service. Next one is brand development. Now, globalization has promoted the use of branded goods. Now, not only durable goods are branded, but products like garments, the soft drinks, snacks, food grains, and such other products are also branded. Now, foreign brands are very popular among Indian consumers. Brand development has led to quality improvement also. Next one is development of capital market. Now, globalization has helped in development of Indian capital market also. Now, many foreign investors invest in Indian capital market. Now, recently there has been substantial increase in the inflow of foreign direct investment and also portfolio investment. Next one is development of service sector. Now, globalization has helped in growth of service sectors. With the entry of foreign companies, tremendous improvement has been witnessed in various services like telecommunication, insurance, banking, etc. Now, mobile phones are very cheap and are popular in India if we observe. Next one is increase in employment. Now, this globalization has also promoted employment opportunities. Now, foreign companies are establishing their production and trading units in India. It has increased employment opportunities for Indians. Uh, if we observe, many Indians are presently employed in foreign insurance companies, mobile companies. Not only this, Indians are there in almost every other field. It is not only Indians, but because of this globalization and free trade and free movement of labor, nowadays people from every country can be seen in almost every other country, provided they have skills and the ability to work, and also the businesses which are having the capacity to come up with in other countries are doing business in different countries also. The next one is reduction in brain drain. Now, as a result of this globalization, many multinational corporations have set up their business units in India. Now, these multinational corporations provide attractive salary package and also good working conditions to efficient and skilled Indian engineers, managers, and professionals. Now, Indians get good employment opportunities in India itself, and it has resulted in reduction in brain drain. Next one is improvement in standard of living. Now, as a result of globalization, the standard of living of Indian population has improved. Now, Indians get better quality goods at low prices. The globalization has resulted in a reduction of prices of many products, particularly electronic items like maybe television, ACs, mobile phones, a refrigerator, and other day-to-day usable goods. Now, mid-income group also uses these luxury products which were earlier used by only those who belong to a rich class. Now, although these are the some notable positive effects of globalization, it definitely has its own negative impact also. The first one is loss to domestic industry. Now, speaking about this, as a result and as a consequence of globalization, the foreign competition has increased in India undoubtedly. Now, the Indian industry units have to compete with foreign industrial units also, and because of better quality and low cost of foreign goods, that is the result of use of superior technology and superior management skill. Many Indian industrial units have failed to face competitions and have been closed. Now, small and cottage industries are worst hit by this increased competition. The next one is unemployment. Now, foreign companies operating in India use capital intensive technology. Now, even some Indian companies use imported, capital intensive technology with the increasing use of computers and automatic machines. And employment avenues have also reduced. The next one is exploitation of labor. Now, globalization is exploiting unskilled workers by giving lower wages, less job security, long working hours. And because of this, laborers have to work even in these conditions because bad job and less wages are better than no wages at all or no jobs at all. The next one is demonstration effect. Now, this tells that with the easy availability of foreign goods, demonstration effect has increased among Indians. Now, many consumers are using luxury products by imitating others. Now, it has promoted tendency of wasteful consumption in India. Now, this increasing wasteful expenditure has in turn reduced savings and thereby resulted in a reduction of capital formation. The next one is increase in inequalities. Now, globalization has definitely increased inequalities in our economy. Now, globalization has benefited multinational companies and big industrial units, but small and cottage industries are adversely hit by globalization, and it has definitely increased income inequalities in India. Next one is dominance of foreign institutions. Now, with globalization, dominance of foreign institutions has increased in India. Now, globalization has helped foreign companies in enlarging their market share. Now, to give an example, Indian cold drink market, a large share is definitely controlled by Pepsi Corporation and Coca-Cola. Now, both of these are foreign companies. Now, these can be regarded as some of the main negative effects of globalization. Now, having said this, We shall now see what are the political impact of globalization. Now, globalization has multidimensional characteristics, and this we can tell without any doubt. Now, this multidimensional, characteristics covers economic, social, political, and cultural aspects also. Now, some of the impact of globalization, especially in terms of politics, can be said as first one is improvement in cross-border relationships. Now, globalization has increased interaction among different nations of the world. Now, it has made the whole globe into one market, or what we call as global village. Now, it has improved the relations among different nations. The next one is changing role of bureaucracy. The globalization and liberalization both have resulted in procedural simplification. Now, it has reduced government intervention in the economic activities. Earlier, bureaucracy was a hurdle in the path of development, but now it is a booster or accelerator and also facilitator in the development process. Next one is growth in capitalism. Now, globalization has promoted capitalism across the world. Now, even countries like China and Russia, who are great advocates of socialism, have started adopting capitalism. The next one is changing role of government. Now, prior to globalization, the government had to participate in economic, political, and social activities. But with the globalization, now the government has reduced its role in the economic sector. Now, private sector MNCs play an important role in the economic sector. Now, government can concentrate on other sectors like health, education, safe drinking water, maybe environmental protection, infrastructure, defense, and all other sectors which needs further and more priority. The next one is increase in efficiency of public sector units or PSU. Now, with globalization, privatization, and liberalization, the efficiency of public sector units has increased. Now, with increase in competition and threat of privatization, public sector units are under pressure to cut down wasteful expenses and increase its productivity and efficiency also. Now, having said this, there are also obstacles in the path of globalization, or what we call as hindrances in the path of globalization. Now, speaking about the hindrances, the first one is bureaucratic hurdles. Now, to tell about this, business units have to face many bureaucratic hurdles. Now, it can be in the form of, you know, too many domestication, lengthy and cumbersome procedures,